place to promote the growth of Tigres in English through analysis, discussions, interviews, and more. Welcome to the La U Times Podcast. We're back better than ever. Welcome back to La U Times Podcast, where we talk about our beloved Tigres in English. Once again, I'm not because he's just a world traveler now. So I'm Dennis. I'm the producer and I guess the villain host now for the show. The gang is back with me as always, and I'm here to introduce them now. This is the legend, Luke Popovich, as Arnoldo likes to call him. How are you, my friend, down in Austin?
What's up, Dennis? Great to be here, man. Great to join you guys again. Plenty to talk about.
Oh, we have a lot to talk about, which is kind of wild considering last week was, a little on the short side as far as news and things happening, but this has been a completely different week. So we got to introduce now our two friends who ended up in the same city together, somehow didn't end up getting to see each other, but I just want to acknowledge that these two boys were in Las Vegas together. Alfred down in Houston, and then Edgar, our outline extraordinaire, holding it down with me up here in DFW. How are you, boys?
I'm doing good, guys. Excited to be back. Excited Nahuel is back. Ready to talk about it.
That's it. That's all you got, Edgar? No vocal introduction?
I'm here, guys. Pleasure to be with you.
Barely.
Barely here. Barely.
It's fine.
Barely around, but don't worry. We got plenty.
I hope you had your electrolytes today, bro. Get some fluids back in you. Some good fluids.
I hadn't slept so much in a long time. Like this last night's sleep, woke up at I think it was like 10:40 a.m. I haven't done that in such a long time. Vegas is tiring, man.
Oh, I bet. I've never been. I've always wanted to go for the longest time, but I've never.
Bro,
been.
you need to go.
Yeah, I've heard. It's quite the interesting city. Edgar, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, it's a super fun place. Highly recommend it if you don't go. This was my first time, when I was not in diapers, being out there in Vegas. So I recommend it.
So first time of age?
Yeah, first time of age. So
did you know you were going there on the weekend of the fight, or were you like Alfred and you didn't know?
So it clicked after. I actually went out there for my father-in-law's 50th birthday. So that was, why I was out there. And then the week of, I was like, oh man, I'm out there for the fight. Then I found out I was there for the UFC fight. Then I found out there's like a billion other things going on just throughout my week.
So many things.
Yeah. A listener and all those who are watching. First of all, thanks for being here, everybody who's watching and who's going to be listening later on the audio only version. Do us a favor. If you're watching on YouTube or X/Twitter right now, go ahead and repost, share, like, comment, subscribe, follow, do all the things to help us get this episode out to more people. And I also want to make the announcement that our host is here, but he's here in spirit and through the YouTube spirit, as he will be commenting live since his feed sounds like he's on a plane. And so here's our first comment of the night, directed at, I guess, you, Edgar, but maybe you too, Alfred, in some ways. So
a little bit.
A lot of bit here. I mean, I'm wearing the wrong jersey, so.
I was about to say you're wearing an L3 jersey, which is crazy.
But I will say I'm only wearing it in honor of Mexican Independence Day, and being out in Vegas, every Mexican person you saw this was the outfit, and I did not take mine.
Yeah,
because I typically don't travel.
We'll allow it, Edgar.
Yeah, I typically don't travel with my L3 jersey, but
yeah, it's fine. Viva Mexico. That's how it's supposed to be. All right.
Viva Nahuel.
Viva Nahuel. We have a lot. Oh my gosh, a lot to get through. With both teams, obviously, the game on Friday with the men, and a lot of femenil. So let's get going. Edgar, Mr. King of the Outline, guide us through this first segment, my friend.
Alrighty, let's get to it, everybody. So, Tigres, let's recap there. After an international break that no Tigres fan asked for, Los Incomparables returned for match day number 7 in the most passionate stadium in all of Mexico, with a guest of honor that all fans in the stands paid their respects to. Of course, Nahuel Guzman ended his long and unjust hiatus from the pitch with a much-deserved celebration that took place at the Volcan. The match was off to an aggressive start, with Antuna scoring what could have been his first goal with the club, if not for an offsides call, just 30 seconds into the match. Tigres struggled to close that half after Juan Bruneta received a red card in the 34th minute, leaving Tigres down with 10 men for the remainder of the match. The team did buckle down in the second half and fought for the 3 points as if this were an elimination round match. And the persistence of the team allowed for Nando Goriran to give us another golazo and lock in the victory just in the closing minutes of the game. For a brief moment this weekend, Tigres was the league leaders.
Yeah, until Cruz Azul, obviously got their result on Saturday. Well, let's just get going with this one. Lou, I'll start with you. General big picture thoughts about Friday night, about the game and how it all went down, and maybe you can start talking about the Bruneta red card if you want as well.
Yeah, overall, man, really happy with the performance of the team. Really like the attitude of the players out there. It was one of those games where you have to grind it out. San Luis did a great job of frustrating us with the help of the refs. Obviously, I felt San Luis was being, a little bit on the dirty side, trying to get our players worked up, and it worked. That foul on Gignac should have been a red card. The ref didn't even issue a yellow card, which was messed up. And then, sure enough, I felt like later on there would be retaliation. And I'm not sure if Bruneta did it on purpose or if it was accidental, but he ended up getting the red card, and I thought that hurt us. That definitely hurt us. I thought the way we started the game, we were pressing high, we were being very intense. We had a lot of purpose on the attack, and I thought it was just a matter of time where we were going to break through and score. And had the ref issued the red card on San Luis for that foul on Gignac, I think the tide would have turned and we would have smothered them. I think it could have easily been a 2-0 game at halftime, and then we would have taken control of the match. But it didn't work out that way, unfortunately. Bruneta got that foolish red card, and then we ended up having to fight our way back. But at no point did I ever feel like San Luis had us on the ropes. They had a few moments here and there where they were attacking. They had plenty of possession, but we were never on the ropes defensively. We were rock solid. Joaquin was fantastic. Pizarro had a great night as well. I thought he was solid defensively, but he did a lot, especially towards the end of the game, to push up and help on the attack. So really well-rounded. Aquino, solid as ever, consistent as ever. So overall, I thought the players stepped up and delivered. Everybody that needed to step up did, and so I was really happy with the 3 points.
Let's start with a comment here from our main man. I don't know, though not intentional, the red is a reflection of Bruneta's self-pressure to demonstrate his ability on the field. Alfred, I'll kick it to you. Talk about this comment. I can tell you agree with it, and then just whatever else you want to add about the game itself.
I mean, I agree with Arnoldo, but I don't agree that be the case, for Bruneta. I mean, we're talking about professional players that are supposed to be ready for the pressure. I mean, as far as I know, even the team has some, some of the staff members in the team that work the psychology of these players. So I know that Bruneta's been going through stuff. We all know that. We know that he's not been having the best of seasons. I added to the outline that point that we just saw Statistics tweet out their top 11 lineup for the least impactful players of the league, and Bruneta's on there. Antuna's on there too, but I mean, in Antuna's defense, he hasn't had much activity, aside from this game at Tigres. So, but Bruneta, I mean, he used to be he was the MVP of the league, basically. And we did expect a lot from him, in this new season, especially after that what was that All-Star game, event where he was also MVP there. Like, we really thought this was going to be his season where he's going to be able to shine and be the star that we supposedly got. Unfortunately, he hasn't. And if if this is the case, if the pressure is getting to him to a point where he's being reckless, I mean, how does that help the team? In all honesty, you actually are the reason why we had to wait until the 96th minute or 98th minute to see our team score. I mean, because if you wouldn't have done that foolish mistake, we would have had a better chance. So I can't necessarily fault him entirely, right? But at the same time, I'm not going to excuse him because, like I said, I mean he's supposed to be one of our top players.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Edgar, do you want to add anything else to that point, or just any other thoughts about the game before we talk about Antuna?
So I mean, for me, it's really like it's a bit more difficult to justify Brunetta when he was the best player of the league. He was the best signing of the league for Tigres in that transfer window, and getting that careless mistake, regardless of what you got going on, what the pressure is. Tigres for many years now has been the destination team where that the expectations are higher than in any other club, besides America. But if you look at them right now, maybe that's not true anymore. So I would have, been more lenient had it been Marcelo Flores, Chicha Sanchez, or a younger player who's not developed and is still gaining that experience, versus someone like Bruneta who's supposed to be the star and the figure in the lineup.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really like both frustrating and disappointing about the whole thing is that we just know what he can bring, and this was kind of another chance for him to take advantage and hopefully kind of regain some form, because really, I mean, since the Miami game, he's really fallen off in Leagues Cup. So now you lose him for at least a game, right? Like he won't play tomorrow night, and I imagine there's a chance he may not play the next game, depending on how the league discerns that. Um, so who knows when he'll be back? And now Sebastian's got a chance to take over that spot and kind of run with it. So let's see what happens there. Let's talk about Antuna. You guys kind of briefly mentioned it already. I'll kick this off. I think it's hard to really judge that performance. Yes, I know, like, we can judge it, but with 10 men, considering the fact that he technically scored a goal, I mean, just a sliver offside, right? Like in that first like 20 seconds, like I thought what he was doing while we still had 11 men, like, was good, and you could see, I mentioned this during the game on our Twitter thread, that you can see that he makes decisions really quickly, which is to me a big difference between him and Quinones. Big difference. Where Quinones like took forever to like pass the ball or to figure out if he was going to cross or whatnot. At least Antuna kind of like, you know, is sharper on that front, at least right now. Maybe that changes between now and the end of the season, but that I do like, because I do think you just can't like hold the ball or be too stagnant um, throughout phases of the game, or really throughout the game at all. So I don't know what else you guys want to add to that with Antuna, but I feel like it's hard to judge, and I think he just did fine. Hopefully he does better, but I don't know. With 10 men, it's a little bit difficult to really like put like a hard opinion on it, at least to me.
He's
I'll just add
Luis
one thing.
Quinones with some bug fixes, some performance improvements, but he's gonna be he's gonna be our new offsides king, bro. Did you see how many times he was offsides?
It was like
So,
5 in the first half, I'm pretty sure.
but I gotta give it to him. He's aggressive, and I think he's what we need at times. When we need to be, he's a little bit like Flores too. Like he tries. He's attempting things when at times our squad can be a little bit conservative on the attack, right? When we tend to kind of run out of ideas in the final third. He's that kind of guy that, because he's got great speed, can give you another gear. So I like some of the stuff he's bringing, but I think he's gonna, with the tangibles that he's gonna bring and the upgrades he's going to bring over Luis Quinones, we're also going to get a lot of the frustrating side of Luis Quinones with him too, right? So I think it's just a matter of time of letting him get settled in, get comfortable, get some chemistry with our players. But I think he's going to do well enough with our squad. And I'll say this, he's going to be a much better scoring threat than Luis Quinones ever was. which I think that's also important to mention.
Alfred, what were you gonna say?
Well, Lou beat me to it. I tweeted about it as well on Friday. You know how he was. You know he's supposed to come in and try to match Quinones' assists record, not his offsides record, which is what it looked like. So I mean, if anybody that works at the club is listening to us, you know, can get the word out to him. Just watch out for your offside. That's really all we can ask of him. I think if he does that, then he's actually a step above Quinones, you know. So that's what we want. In all honestly, that's really what we want out of him. You know, he came in to take Quinones' place. Quinones for the last few seasons, couple of years, hasn't been what he was in the past, and he came in to be, the guy to replace Quinones and to be basically younger Quinones. So we want obviously, for him to have success, and like Lou said, he is promising. He does have, some things that make it fun to watch. Obviously, he's risk. He takes risks. He tries to, challenge the defenders. So we like that. But we just, he just needs to be smarter than Quinones in that aspect. And I'll throw the question back at you guys. As far as like based on what you saw, then would you, at this point, put him above or ahead of Lainez or Ociel?
Not above us yet. No. I think I'd take him over Lainez right now, honestly.
I agree.
Lou?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Right now, as it stands, I don't know. There's something going on with Lainez. I don't know if he doesn't fit in with Pauno's system or what's going on, but I feel like right now he's got to step on Lainez, but not on Ozzy.
Yeah, I agree, especially with how Ozzy's been playing. Arnoldo's saying, in build-up with 10 men down, it wasn't ideal, but in the few long transitions with space we had, he looked good and the danger was present. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know we just have been joking about it, but that quickness and his ability to like get in behind is going to be useful. Even if it does lead to some offsides, like that danger hasn't been really present. So also, this is a true point. Luisao is gone. He still gets time on our pod. I
Forever
mean,
in our hearts.
yeah. Which, by the way, I don't think he's going to play against us because I think they worked in that clause to where he can't play when we match up against Puebla in a few weeks. So,
How do you all feel about that clause?
I think it's a good idea, personally.
You know how angry the dude must be.
He'll turn into Vini Jr., bro, if he plays against us.
For real, Pele, literally.
Like, I mean, and you saw it with Fulgencio, like all this pent up frustration that these guys had because they, weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing when they were wearing our colors. We saw that with Fulgencio, like just against us. He was, I don't know, I saw a completely different player, and then just knowing the way Quinones kind of operates, everything he did not do for the past 4 years, he would bring it out in 90 minutes.
It's interesting to me how they decide what players that clause goes in for. Because they didn't do it with Fulgencio because he played against us, back in July. But they did do it with Lichnowsky in the America game, if you guys remember that. Like, he didn't play. And I know there was also the contract situation with him going on anyway. But he didn't play because of that clause. So I want to know the train of thought behind all that. If somebody from the club can tell us, that would be great. That'd be awesome.
I think it's maybe the players that have not a nasty exit, but just not a friendly exit either. Because we didn't do it with Diente Lopez either, and he came and played against us with Leon, right?
Yeah.
So I guess players that are have some type of resent or could have some type of resentment towards Tigres, we don't want them playing against us.
I don't know. No idea. Edgar,
you guys seen Quinones at Puebla? I haven't seen any Puebla games. I mean,
no, I haven't. No, it beats me. Our main man, Edgar, Edgar, as I like to call him, we need to bring in Chicha. We need the minutes.
And that San Luis game would have been perfect for Chicha, dude.
Yeah.
Because had we gone 11 versus 11, we would have had a solid lead at halftime, and that would have been some good minutes for Chicha in the second half, but just didn't play out.
I'm sure it'll come later in the season.
We are going to circle back to that question, though, coming up.
Yeah. I don't know, though, saying Ozzy and Antuna are the clear starters right now. I think I agree with that. And honestly, I put Marcelo right behind that, at least to me right now. which means Linus would be fourth on the winger depth chart, which I think
Well,
that's
with
a pretty
Brunetta being out, I mean,
right.
because if Brunetta was in, I'd still put Cordova and Osier, not Antuna.
Mm, true. That's a good point. Okay, man of the match. Edgar, you start us off. Who do you think was the standout guy? I'm sure a lot of our answers are going to come on the defensive side.
I mean, for me, and this is where mine might be a little bit different. It was Nando. I know maybe just the goal, but I think overall and collectively, he's having such a good run that reminds me of the way Cordova was in that Liguilla, where he was just like a very key figure in like a lot of our games. That's kind of how I've been feeling about Nando Goriaran lately. I think he is really our best player of the season so far. So I give it to him.
Okay, Alfred.
Well, I agree, but huge shout out to Joaquin. I mean, this is the type of with the red card, and us playing what was it, almost 60 minutes, 60 some minutes, one man down. I mean, it was a lot of defensive effort. Obviously, Gorriaran ran the entire game up and down the field, so he was very very important. But Joaquin, I mean, we've seen highlights of his play, I think more than we've seen of the goal. Like that defensive, play where he was basically the last man, and there was going to be two Chivas on the counter that were going to go head straight towards Nahuel. If it wasn't for him, yeah, I'm sorry, I said Chivas, I meant San Luis players. I mean, we would have probably gone down in that play. So I think that he's given us good performances. Maybe it's still early because we probably were this hype with Samir when Samir joined as well, but he does have a different way of playing. I think he's faster. He's great in the air. He's athletically, he's just incredible. So
Yeah, he that is the big difference to me with him and Samir is that Samir is stocky. And when he first got here, he still had, a decent amount of pace and could move around well. Joaquim is just a menace. Like you said, in the air, like those aerial duels, we're gonna win those every single time. I don't feel like threatened when we face corner kicks from other teams because it just feels like he's gonna like head it out essentially. Um, so he's been unbelievable. Like he still scares me a little bit when he's on the ball. Not gonna lie, he had a couple moments here and there, but he's really good, and I'm really satisfied with him so far. I want to shout out Aquino. I thought Aquino, the thing that is so impressive to me about him, that every single game that he plays, like at the right back spot, he gets better. Like his positioning is so much better. His reading of passes gets better every single game. The link ups that he has with whoever's playing on the right wing, regardless of who it is, like feels like it gets better. I don't know, like it's incredible to me, his versatility and his willingness to like play that, especially considering where he was earlier in his career with us, and the fact that he is so good in that spot now is awesome. He wasn't the best player, um, but he deserves a shout. For how well he did. I mean, the whole back line deserves a shout, but I thought he was really great. Lou?
Yeah, I gotta give it to Gorri. Gorri to me was the spark that we needed in the second half. He was the one guy that I thought was showing the most grit. He was fired up, man. He had fire in his belly. It was great to watch him. And shout out for the goal, obviously. I mean that was fantastic.
Golazo.
But he's participating a lot more on the attack now with under Pauno. He had 7 passes into the final third. He was 100% accurate on his long balls. He won 4 out of 5 tackles. Really, really accurate on his short passing. I mean, I think he's just doing it all. He's turning into the player we thought he was going to be when he came in from Santos, and he gave us. I don't think he was ever mediocre. He was just never great. He's always had the garra, he's always had the push, but there was never any purpose to his running. And now I feel like he is running into spaces correctly. He's linking up well with others, and I think this game was kind of the reward for him, the cherry on top for all the work he's put in the offseason. And and the way he's playing this season. I think he was just phenomenal. But I'm with you guys. Joaquin look fantastic at times. Our back line, if you think about it, Aquino's older. He's not as fast as he used to be. Angulo is probably as slow as a turtle. Pizarro's older, not as fast as he used to be. So we desperately needed speed back there, and he is such a fast player. I mean, when he was on that 2-on-1 where there was two San Luis players attacking, the way he exploded to that ball, it was just awesome to watch. And in the air on corner kicks, he's going to be a threat every time. So, I think he definitely deserves honorable mention.
Yeah. Some of our viewers here Edgar saying Joaquin and Nando both. I love how Arnoldo said it. Aquino, Nando, and Joacanda forever. that's a that's a good way to put it. Edgar also saying that I think the other season was what also hurt Nando was the personal issues in that time. That is true because
Yeah.
he did have
The
what
death
was
of
it?
his father.
Yeah, his dad
father passed.
passing. Yeah, that
And
was a
his
big
dog
deal.
within the same week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good shouts. I have a couple questions to kind of wrap up conversation about this game. Let's go back to Gori for a sec.
Yeah.
Do we think that like the way that he's playing right now in this season specifically, do we think that is more of a product of him being more familiar with his teammates, or do we think Paunovic is putting him in a really good position to succeed?
I
I think
want
it's
to say
Profe
Pauno.
Ortega's.
Yeah, I want to say el Profe Ortega and Pauno. I think it's this new coaching staff has helped him out considerably. And like I said, it wasn't he was out of shape or anything like that because he's been running. He runs a lot, and last season he ran a lot. He just didn't, like I said, he didn't have a purpose. He was kind of just out there running around, and now I think he's got a definite um objective every time he goes on the attack.
Other thoughts?
No, I agree. I just think his stamina. Obviously the preseason that we had helped out. I think a lot of our players are running a lot more than they were in the past few seasons. But definitely, I mean, he feels more comfortable under the Paunovic system. And I'm actually also take note on Carioca. There's been a lot of talk about how this is Carioca's last season. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I
It might
wouldn't
not
count
be.
on it. I wouldn't count
Yeah.
on it. I think, I mean, if this were to be Carioca's last season, wouldn't you think that Paunovic would start, transitioning
Phasing
him
him
out?
Yeah.
That's not happening. Paunovic counts on him. So I think we have Carioca at least for a year more now. I also want to circle back to what you said, Dennis, about Aquino. I think Aquino is going to be really, really important in Antuna's success. The more he gets familiarized with Antuna or Antuna with Aquino, and they're able to link up play, I mean, they're going to be a menace. If whatever minutes they get together, I think they'll be able to provide good opportunities for us.
That's a
And
great
definitely
point.
a little bit of mentorship there as well. I mean, we recall that Aquino played the position, played in Europe, and he killed it in my humble opinion. Like he always killed it when he was up there with LG as well. He's got like a lot of experience that he can pass on to Antuna and build him up if he's willing to take the mentorship.
And Antuna is very similar to what Aquino was in the past as well. So, like, I mean, I think Antuna could also be that, back and forth carrilero that we need at times.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't thought about it that way, but for Antuna, it's not even just Aquino; it's really the whole squad. Like this is such a great opportunity for him. I know that he was close to going to Europe, but like, think about just the locker room that he's in with Nahuel, with Aquino, with Guido, with Gignac. Like that is wisdom, knowledge, like experience that you can't really get anywhere else. At least I think in our league domestically. So I hope he takes advantage of that and he's able to, use that into his games.
And he got that assist from Gignac, which
Yeah.
talks about how
Yep.
already Gignac is, knows and identifies that Antuna is going to run into the spaces, and that Antuna is going to be a guy that he's going to be able to do those lob passes, those through passes into the box. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot of that too.
I don't know, though, saying that his role is more defined now with Bono talking about Goriadan. That's just circling back to that, which is a good point. This is kind of what you were saying, Lou. I have two more questions, real quick. The attackers did not have a great day, partly because of the circumstances. Do we have anybody that stood out of the four that started, or I guess of the three, not including Brunetta, Antuna, Gignac, and Ociel? Or were they all just kind of like, it is what it is?
I can't really evaluate them in a game like this.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. But I figured it's worth asking the question. Lou, Edgar?
Yeah, it's because you lose possession so much. Once you go down one man, you lose what you would have had you been playing evenly, right? So now we go from having the ball to being able to create chances to now having to, share the ball more. And in that case, San Luis kind of took over possession, and now we're having to play a little bit more of a midfield battle, a little bit on the counter. It changes how you play, so that it definitely messes up what the attackers can do. It would have been interesting to see how that game developed with our attackers, in a game 11 versus 11. But I'm with Alfred. I don't think it's one where you can draw too many conclusions. I think the start of the game kind of shows you what the intent was, and I thought they were doing it pretty well.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna gauge anything, it's really off the first 12 minutes or so.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Not to mention, though, Gignac had to play a lot more conservative after he got a yellow card.
Yep. Boy, he was hot.
Yeah.
Understandably so. But
Yeah.
man, he was hot. Like throughout
And
that.
that's another thing that the refereeing affected a lot. Games like that, man, are worrisome because a lot of times you're so emotional that you could end up. It could have been a game where we lose two or three guys because they get red cards out of just pure frustration. I mean, so props to them for keeping it together. Even though they were clearly all frustrated over a lot of the calls, but they kept it together and were able to get the 3 points.
I don't know though. Are you talking about Antuna here? I imagine.
I think
What,
so.
That's
Yeah.
what this comment's about. Okay, cool. My last question. Sorry, Nahuel, his return to the league. Feel like he did okay. I mean, I feel like he didn't have a ton of stuff to do either. I mean, I'm looking back at stats, and San Luis didn't have a big chance. They only had 2 shots on target.
Two saves only.
They're
And one was that one that he played right on the line.
right.
Like he,
Yeah.
he was being nonchalant, just like picking it up right on the lines. Like come
There
on.
actually was like 0.47 or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, it was good to see him back. The reception he got was great, well deserved, and I'm sure everybody knows. I mean, we got to see him,
Well,
for Leagues Cup. So,
I'll comment. I mean, we may not have seen much of him, under the post, but I think, he was very, very important in how we were able to manage and handle this game after the red card. I'm sure, he had, some type of talk with the players, with the rest of the team during halftime. And he was also important. I don't know what he went up to say to Gorriaran and Lainez on that free kick at the end of the game, but he was up there. He was telling them something. He saw something. And it wouldn't be the first time that Nahuel influences a free kick like that. So we've seen it before, and that just shows just how important Nahuel is to the overall team.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's been quite a few matches where he will go up and he will give instruction and pointers as to the positioning of the opposition's goalkeeper. And, he's a leader on the field and in the locker room, which we've had absent for 11 games because the league is full of idiots. But I think it's definitely going to contribute, and we're going to see more and more of that. And hopefully, we get to see it in the back line as well. They had a really great match this game, and I think it's only going to get better with more organization and more leadership.
and like we talked about a little bit last time we recorded 2 weeks ago, like that partnership with him and Joaquin is already paying dividends. I thought that they worked really well together, like communicating, organizing things well. Nahuel trying to make Joaquin's life a little bit easier, or trying to help him be as comfortable as possible. That's what a leader does, and that's a huge credit to him. Okay, attendance for this match being bigger than the Clásico Nacional on Saturday by like almost double, right? or I don't know what the numbers were exactly.
26,000 at the Nacional, 40,000 at the Volcan. 41.
41.
My thoughts are when you're big, you're big. I say that all the time, but I'm just gonna keep saying it. When you're big, you're big. That's how it goes. I don't know what you guys want to add, but
I think the Clásico Nacional has gone down not so much because of America, but because Chivas is fading into oblivion. Chivas to me is a team that's just not as relevant as they used to be back in the '90s, and so it's to me it's not as attractive, and so I think it kind of shows too. There's the new generations will slowly get away from that. I think the new generations probably enjoy, and I'm not trying to go Aldo Farias on anybody here, create a new classic or anything like that. No, don't take it like that. But I think just for watching, it's a better product, Tigres versus America, where you get more excitement, a better rivalry, and I think the new generations are migrating to that. All the
And they
kids
get more
that
people in
don't care
stands.
about what happened in the '90s, I think they're starting to gravitate towards Tigres and America, which are the more powerful teams.
Yeah, they would definitely get more fans in the stands in America versus Tigres. We know that. We've seen that. So we're not here to talk about America and Chivas. I wasn't surprised. I mean, any game that you put on Tigres versus any game that you put on America, we're probably going to have a higher attendance, if not for a final.
exactly. I don't know. They're saying here, 3 goals given up and Nahuel's back. Yeah, that's a good way to summarize it. Essentially, is that 3 goals throughout the whole tournament, right, for the defense?
Yeah.
The Atlas
So
game.
we're having a hell of a season defensively.
Yeah, especially we've talked about it all season. That was the biggest question mark going into the season, right? Atlas game,
Lou.
right? Where was the other 2 goals from?
Necaxa?
Gosh, I can't remember now.
Did Tapia get scored on? I don't think he had a clean sheet.
Yeah, no, Pumas. That was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Off that weird little bounce around.
That's right.
And I can't remember the other one off the top of my head.
It was Pumas, Chivas, and
oh yeah, Chivas. Yeah,
And
Pumas,
Atlas.
Chivas,
Pumas,
and
Chivas,
Atlas.
and Atlas.
and
Yeah.
Atlas.
Yeah.
Atlas, right?
Yeah.
Pumas, Chivas, and Atlas. Yeah, Necaxa. No, we won 1-0 versus Necaxa.
Yep, you're right.
So, Lou? I wanted to ask you. Do you remember what the record is for a defensive
It's
goals for
9.
Tigres?
9 for the season. That was the historic 2011 backline.
Well, we're in a good pace.
When Enrique Palos was ready to go to the national team. But
The good old days.
That backline made the whole Enrique Palos situation a whole lot better than what it would have been.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
You put Enrique Palos on the 2008 squad, bro, and it's a totally different story.
And the 2006 squad.
Yeah.
Talk about that one later.
Yeah, tell me about it. Okay, Profe Ortega. I'm sure everybody who's watching or who's going to listen to this later. By the way, 196 people watching right now. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm sure most of y'all have seen Profe Ortega's celebration when Gordianan scored the goal. Epic celebration, by the way. Is he influencing our performances more than Paunovic at this point? I would say yes, because the players look super fit and they don't look gassed at any point at all. At least so far throughout, what is it, like 12 games now between Leagues Cup and League? So what do y'all think?
I said it before, and I'll say it again. He's been the best hire this offseason, and we've had good hires. I mean, we landed some good players, but to me, that guy is just he's made us improve a lot. He's definitely a keeper. If somehow Pauno needs to go, I would still keep the Profe Ortega around. He's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Paunovic might be making, the decisions of the lineup, of the subs, strategies and whatnot. But I think, especially like in this game, Profe Ortega sees the end result as a product of his work. because just that effort that they're able to put on the field, for 60 some minutes with one man down, it speaks volume of what he's been able to do with them. So, and just the fact that he's proud of that, and he shows that he celebrates, he's stoked about them winning this game. I mean, it goes to show how he's compromised with the team, with the institution, and with getting the results.
I don't know what he's giving our players, bro, but we haven't had any major injuries either. Then go back to the days with the Huesero when we had Hiver Becerra. Those injuries were like every week, bro. It was a different guy, and I don't know what he's giving these guys, but they're not injuring themselves, and they're older, and they're
Bugs Bunny's
still...
secret stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say Mike's secret stuff. Just drinking bottles of that all night.
New meme.
We've been constantly upgrading in that position. I mean, Oscar Tojo wasn't doing a bad job. You obviously saw an improvement from El Huesero. You saw less injuries for sure. But now, whatever, like you guys mentioned, whatever they're giving them, it's phenomenal.
They're eating their Wheaties for breakfast, clearly.
Hashtag sponsored.
Now I got to bring it up. Unofficially. Not the show. My evening was sponsored by, and this is so bad, it's not even the same as in Mexico, but Pollo Loco, Gringo Pollo Loco. Because I got a bowl tonight of rice, chicken, beans, and guacamole for $1.62 because I had a $5 off for my birthday, and this thing is like $5, and the guacamole was an extra like $1.50. So my dinner, $1.62. Thanks, Pollo Loco, USA version. Please sponsor us.
Dennis.
Anyways, just a way to kind of wrap this game up. I don't know what I was saying earlier. I wanted to wait until now to bring this up. Overall, the squad deserves a shout out. Everyone was on the same wavelength to fight for that result. The score didn't reflect more goals, but it was an electric performance. I think it's a great way to sum it up. Like you guys mentioned, as we've been mentioning the last like 40 minutes, like it was a very like inspiring performance because the team never gave up, and that is what matters, especially in a situation where you lose a man and you're having to play with that disadvantage for most of the game. So that's a huge credit to everybody, not just the players that we mentioned. He also mentions that Ortega is not your typical physical trainer. He gets involved in the decision making as well. Many times he has been near the coaches before players warm up. I haven't noticed that. I guess I should have noticed that some during Leagues Cup, but I'm assuming that's true, and I think that's great because he knows, firsthand, like who's going to be a better fit on some days as compared to others. So I like that. I like that he's involved. Obviously, you don't want to get too involved, but he's doing a good job. Kudos to him. Okay, Edgar, talk us through this week, a 2-match week for the boys.
That's right. All right. So coming up next, Querétaro versus Tigres and Juárez versus Tigres. So this week will be a busy one for Club Tigres with 2 matches on the road for Los Incomparables. First, we'll travel to Querétaro to face off against bottom of the table Gallos Blancos for match day number 8 on Tuesday night. That's tomorrow as of recording. Followed by a trip to Juárez to visit Los Bravos for match day number 9, who are currently in 17th place of the league table with 4 points. Will this be a week of smooth sailing, or will mileage take a toll on some of our players?
And that Juárez game is on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. The game tomorrow is on VIX, right? Is that what we discovered earlier? Okay.
Yes, tomorrow will be on VIX.
And then Sunday, are they still Fox, Juárez?
I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'll have to look that up. Maybe I'll look that up here in a second. Okay, well, let's talk about what the team could look like. Do we expect a lot of rotation throughout these 2 games? Do we expect Paunovic to switch things up like he kind of has been doing, or do we expect a more like solidified 11? Obviously, Brunetta will not be playing, so we would imagine Sebastian would take his spot in the number 10 role. But besides that, do you expect anything else to change or stay put? Lou?
I think he will rotate some. To me, it's going to be great to see Cordova get a shot for once. I think that's going to be important. But Midfield stays the same. I'm imagining backline stays the same. I think he might switch up the wingers a little bit. We'll see. I think Osi might sit. Maybe Gignac sits. That would be my guess.
I would imagine Marcelo gets a start in one of these two games.
Or he gives us the two at the top, the two forwards again, like you guys love to see.
Lou,
The
No, come on,
Lou,
Lou.
bro,
Time out.
Yeah, no,
golly.
Hey, bro, we should have that ESPN thing where you get silenced and your screen goes like red or whatever.
Golly, don't put that evil on me at all, please. Honestly, I'll say this right now: in the Juarez game, start Chicha. I'm just saying, they're 17th place. Give it a shot. Honestly, start Osvi too. I like to see him get a start.
I was gonna
over
say
Angola.
that. I was gonna say that. I mean, we're coming off a game on Friday night. Not just there's a 4-day difference between both games, but that game was just very exhausting because of the red card. A lot of these players just put out all their effort into it, and I think if we're really being honest, these next couple of games, they should not be a challenge. We had said it before in our previous pod. The next 5 games were going to be or should be smooth sailing, and I think especially these two are the easiest of all 5. So if there's going to be any opportunity to have some rotation and to have some of these players that came in that have not had any minutes get an opportunity to start, I think it would be these games. So I would start Osvaldo Rodriguez instead of Angulo. I might even let Aquino rest some. Put
Chewy, yeah, I'm in.
You might either give Carioca or Gorriaran some time on the bench. Not exactly sure who would we bring in, but yeah, I'm just saying that this would be a perfect opportunity for us to give minutes to some of these players.
Experimentation, maybe now that this is me being crazy. Now that Samir is re-registered, which we're about to talk about here in a second, Brazilian center back duo, push Pizarro up into the midfield to give Gorriarán or Carioca a little bit of rest.
Could be.
I'm with you on the Chewy idea. I think that'd be great to see him start. Hopefully he's back to fitness, because I know he had the injury that we didn't really know too much about during Leagues Cup and all that. So hopefully he's fine. I don't know, though, saying that I'd like to see Lainez start so we could put the argument to the end that he is a starter. He's an excellent super sub along with Marcelo.
And that's true. That would be a very good test for him because it's 17th and 18th in the league table. So, I mean, if you're struggling there, you probably don't have any business in the starting lineup against America, Cruz Azul, whoever else is in the top half of the table.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, found out Juarez versus Tigres. I don't know why my screen's not showing super well on FS1 on Sunday night. So we'll get an English broadcast, which will be cool. Hopefully that doesn't change between now and then, because sometimes those things do change.
Better than having VIX. So
yeah, true. That is very true. I don't have VIX, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to legally stream the game tomorrow. Wink, wink. Anyway,
We got you, bro. We got you.
yeah, you guys will hit me up with some link somewhere. I imagine
We'll
Nahuel
find some.
will keep. Yes, exactly. I imagine Nahuel will get his two starts in a row. Although maybe in a different season, maybe this is a chance to give Tapia another start. But since Nahuel is just coming back, I imagine he keeps his place. No problem. Let's should we go ahead and talk about Samir? Our Samir from the Premier, now that he's officially re-registered and staying put on the squad. Are we excited about that? Does he deserve first team minutes, as Edgar said in the outline, or maybe it was you, Alfred? Is it just time to put him with the U23s? What's the best course of action with our Brazilian man?
does he deserve minutes? I don't think so. I don't think he deserves them. Could he? I mean, sure. I mean, he's supposed to be there. I mean, he was registered again, so he's supposed to be there competing. with Reyes, with what's his name, Purata, right? So I mean, in the end, if push comes to shove and you need someone in there and he's available and he's shown in practice that he's compromised, why not? But I would not start him. Maybe I would bring him in if we're winning the game because I still don't trust him.
Edgar?
I think closer towards the end of the season, I would start giving him a couple of minutes. I think right now, you're paying him. Can he contribute to the U23? Probably, and that's the route that I would take, just because I don't see him as a first team player right now or anytime soon. But as opposed to the end of the season, you want to start giving him a couple minutes to try to get him back on the market, get him on the radar somewhere.
Lou?
Yeah, I'm with Alfred. I don't trust the guy. I just right now, I don't think he's done anything to deserve that he needs to be back. But at the same time, I do feel like he's useful, and he's well, I don't know. Based on past performance, I don't know if he's better than Purata, but potentially, if he could turn into the player he was when he first arrived, he's better than Purata. But right now, I just don't trust the guy. To be honest with you, I think he needs to earn our trust again. Maybe get minutes down the road, like Edgar said, and then from then, if his attitude, part of the problem too has been his attitude. He hasn't had the correct attitude to play for our squad. I think a lot of times he walked out on us. Some of those injuries were kind of weak sauce, in my opinion, dude. If we go back and look, I think he just kind of walked himself out in tough situations too. And so that's as a fan, I don't forget that sort of stuff, dude.
Yeah.
The guys who punked out when the team needed you, and I think Samir was one of those dudes. We were just talking about Nando, contrasting the way he played when he was going through all his drama. He played with heart. He might have been in a slump or whatever, but we never ever doubted his heart, his determination. Whereas Samir, to me, he took plays off. I mean, it's just there's a lot of that still lingering, dude, and it stinks. Like it's rotten. So to me, he's gonna have to work his way back and earn it. And he starts at the very, very bottom for me.
Now, was it him? I know this happened with Reyes. The club does, training videos, training pictures, all that stuff for social media. There was one where Reyes was just like completely out of it. It was in a warm up before a game, like he was no effort. Did the same thing happen with Samir, if I recall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Lou or Arnoldo mentioning that how why is Samir training like that? And maybe some of the injuries are a cause of that. I mean, if you train at 20% and then try to play at 100%, obviously your body's not is not equipped for that. So I think some of the injuries are his fault as well.
To that end, my counterpoint is because of the teams we're about to face, this may be the best time to reintegrate him slightly, because I'd rather play him now than at the end of the season when we're playing Cruz Azul in a match that could, really affect whether we finish first, second, or third, because that is literally our last match before Liguilla is against Cruz Azul. And I can already tell that game's going to be massive. I do not want to put him in a scenario then. I'd rather try it now.
But do you
And
see him being in a scenario where we need him? Like, even if we lose like one center back, you still got Reyes, who's been more reliable than him, and he's like, you could even technically slide Angulo in now that you got Osby.
yeah,
So
I don't
I
know.
feel like we've got a lot of options where you'd have to lose 2 or 3 center backs by the time you're that desperate.
Which, again, at the start of the season, we were desperate, and now we have options, which, like, hallelujah. Like,
Yeah.
thank you, Lord, because that is a good thing. But yeah, it's an interesting thing to see how it develops, and I'm curious to see what Panovich thinks of him, right? Like how he plans to like integrate him into this whole thing, and maybe Prof Ortega will work some magic with him as well. Arnoldo saying Rafa Guerrero and Purata got sent to the sub team, so he thinks that he'll get a shot meaning Samir. I like the idea that you provided talking to me about a Brazilian duo. He might be in shape. That is true because he hasn't played in a while, so he may be more fit than we realize. I don't know if I fully believe that, but he's also now listing his rankings, saying, "Yep, Pizarro first, Joaquim, Reyes, Samir." Yeah, that's the top four in order, no question, right? Like, do we all agree with that?
Yeah, I
No.
mean, Purata has definitely not. I mean, he's been a disappointment.
Well, we haven't seen
Unfortunately.
Guerrero either, so I don't know where you would put him. But I'm imagining he's no better than Samir.
I would
No.
have to put him in the same category simply because coming from Cruz Azul, he was having no activity. Like he was erased from the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I didn't realize the Eagles just fumbled that game. Sorry, I'm like kind of distracted by it, but they're done. They lost. Oh, interception. That's what happened. Cool. Anyways, um, predictions. Start with tomorrow with Edgar.
So for tomorrow against the bottom of the league, I think we're gonna have to walk away with the 3-0 victory for sure. No questions.
Okay, Alfred and Lou.
Agreed. 3-0 tomorrow.
Going 2-0, road game. Take a goal off.
I'm gonna say 3-0 as well. Feeling ambitious. We'll see how the starting lineup shakes out. Do we expect more rotation tomorrow, or do we expect more rotation on Sunday? I should have asked that earlier.
I think
I would,
tomorrow.
yeah, I would expect them more tomorrow simply because we played what Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would expect a little bit more tomorrow, and then that similar to that lineup, you would expect it again on Sunday. And I mean, 18th versus 17th.
Yeah. Not that much of a difference. And then Sunday, Alfred, I'll start with you against Juarez.
1-0. I just because I think Juarez is a little bit more aggressive play. I think it's going to be very similar to the San Luis game, but we should still come up on top.
Lou?
1-0 too. It's a tough place sometimes, so I like that 1-0. It's a good enough, especially if we rotate players in.
Edgar?
Same thing. I'm gonna have to go with 1-0. Playing at Juarez to me is not one of the easier matches.
Yeah, and they always get up for us all the time, especially when we're there. I'm gonna say 2-1. Like, it'll be tight. We sneak out a win at the end, but yeah, I think it'll be a tough game. There's I don't know though. Love when the Eagles lose. Of course you do, Cowboys fan who lives in Houston. So funny to me. All right, Amazonas. Woo, lots to get through with Amazonas. Oh my goodness, Edgar, talk us through it, my friend.
Before I get to that, Arnoldo gave us a prediction 2-0. I'm not sure for which game, but
Maybe for both, honestly.
maybe for both. So,
Yeah.
well, we'll be having a victory there. But moving on to Las Amazonas. They had a Clásico Regio last week, and let's break it down. Expectations were high for Mila Martinez's Amazonas, who hosted Rayadas for the Liga MX, Clásico Regio Femenil, after having already showed them who's boss in CONCACAF W Champions Cup. Unfortunately, the team did not deliver in a match that was more underwhelming than exciting and left a lot of us knowing that our best football was far from being delivered in the match. Despite the result, Las Amazonas are tied for first in the league standings, only behind Las Tuzas by goal difference.
All right, I gotta start with you, Lou. Give us your rant, my friend, because I feel like there's a lot to dissect with how odd this game was, especially considering the contrast between this version of the Clásico and then obviously what Edgar just mentioned with the CONCACAF one a few weeks back.
I like the start of the game. I thought we were intense. We were pressing high, and there was I can understand why we started out that way. We're trying to force errors. We're trying to see if maybe we can get a quick score off of an error, off of a Rayadas error. But the game quickly fell apart for us. It was very physical on both ends. I can't just say that Rayadas were the only ones, kicking and pushing and shoving and everything else. We kind of dished it back too. And the refereeing was pretty poor in that game as well, has to be mentioned. But once again, I do not understand Mila's in-game management. I think we've said this, and we probably sound like a broken record, but the substitutions do not make any sense. The way she reads the game just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, your first sub is to pull out Thembi, the one player that had been your biggest threat on the attack, the one that had the the most options, the most entrances into the final third, the most passes into the box. That's the player you decide to pull out. It just, to me, doesn't make any sense. And so then pulls Thembi out. You bring in a player like Alison Gonzalez, who this entire season hasn't done much. And then now you opt to play with two strikers but no right winger. So who's feeding your two center forwards? And so all these questions pop up during the game, and it's just constantly the same thing over and over again. You bring in Rangel, and what is Rangel going to give you in a 0-0 game where at that point Rayadas had kind of taken over the match because they had the better substitutions. So it's frustrating to watch, man. I get really frustrated because I have no idea what she's doing. A lot of people say, oh, the becadas, or she has her favorites. And honestly, there is a lot of that going on too. She does play favorites, but man, there is no game plan. There's no method to any of the substitutions she makes, and so it's frustrating. I mean, she has the weapons to be able to win those type of games, but she complicates the games herself. I mean, honestly, a lot of times we don't put games away because our manager just doesn't know what she's doing out there.
I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I just want to say it again. The thing that really bothers me about how she's handling things right now is that it feels like we're wasting opportunities in these league games to really like ramp up for the bigger competitions. Like, clearly, Summer Cup was not a good showing. We have CONCACAF games coming up that we really need to take advantage of. Because we have a good chance to advance. If we take care of business, we should advance out of that group, right? So it feels like every single time we're playing right now, it's like a wasted opportunity. Like you said, like no game plan, just relying on hoping things work out. Putting a how does the phrase go of like putting squares into pegs or something like that? Putting squares into round
Putting
holes.
into a round hole.
Yeah, so it's like I still don't get why Mayor starts every single big game when she has clearly not been effective in a big game in a long time. Like, I just don't understand that. Like you just mentioned, I don't understand Thembi coming out ever, much less in that game, but just ever right now with the season that she's having. It's just frustrating. I mean, you two guys, Alfred and Edgar, I know you guys were in Vegas by the time this game happened, so I don't know how much you caught of it, but are you guys just as frustrated as we are? Because man, that was
Yeah, I mean,
fun.
just pretty much the highlights, but I mean, I completely agree with both of you. I don't understand why. I mean, we now have Ana Diaz as an option. Mayor has been frustrating for so long now, and Aligol, just a complete disappointment since she came back. So I just, like we all say, I mean, this is just simply hard to understand, hard to watch, because we have the options, we have the players, and we demonstrated just a few weeks back with that 4-0 win against Rayadas. That's the type of performances we need to have against them. But yeah, I mean, it all falls in the hands of Mila. Who else are you to blame?
Edgar?
Yeah, so I didn't get to watch the game live. I don't remember where I was at the time, but when I saw the highlights, I was very disappointed. It was very, very disappointing. Like, they didn't feel like there was anything to praise the team about or anything to. I mean, there was like 30 seconds of Ovalle being Ovalle, which is great, but at the end of the day, you see the scoreline, it's like, oh well, it wasn't enough to save Mila Martinez this time, and that was frustrating. And yeah, it's just given what we saw that they're capable of against Rayadas not too long ago, you would have expected them to win. Maybe not by the same margin, but at the same time, we still played at home, and we've beat them before, very, very recently.
There's been 5 goals in the last 4 games, and you've played León, Mazatlán, San Luis, and Rayadas. I mean, Rayadas is the only out of those teams. Rayadas is the only solid team. The rest of the team are bottom of the standings teams. So you scored 5 goals in that span. That tells you your system's not working. Whatever you're doing, it's not working. And so, I mean, yeah, we rant, but we rant because there's a reason. That the team's not producing what they should be with the talent that you have and the talent you brought in. It's ridiculous.
Edgar saying here that crazy how Mila is clearly playing by the individual outcomes and not the team and having no direction. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's like the Real Madrid sort of thing of like not really a defined system, just kind of hoping the talent, makes stuff happen. And it's worked some games. I mean, Jenny the other day in that one game against Pumas, right? But obviously didn't work this time. Here's a good thing that we can talk about with Saturday, though, and I don't know who's bringing it up on this comment. The back line I wanted to see for a while now has come to fruition. Best back line, especially against a tough opponent. Talking about Ferral, Greta, Ana Cesa, and Anika on the right.
Yeah.
1,000%
Phenomenal.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
No notes to add to that. We can rant all we want about what happened on Saturday, but we should move on to more important matters, such as CONCACAF. Edgar, guide us through that.
All right, that's correct. CONCACAF W resumes. Fraser's Whip versus the Amazonas is coming up this week on Wednesday. So there's not enough time to dwell on the mistakes being made by the club management because we have an even bigger challenge ahead. Las Amazonas continued their road to the Club World Cup by visiting Fraser's Whip. While the Jamaican side has already 2 losses in the tournament, being on the road with Mila driving the bus won't make this easy. Can the Amazonas secure 3 points in the tournament?
I mean, if we're not beating them by multiple goals, what are we doing? Like,
they got 5 goals from Alajuelense and 5 goals from Monterrey. We need to one up them and beat them by 6.
I'm telling you, the goal difference is going to matter a ton, especially once we get to that New York, New Jersey game.
Yeah, it'll definitely be critical. Kind of going back to Lou's point, a little bit of how much we've been scoring in the past couple of games. I am a little bit concerned. And I don't know if I brought this up on the last pod episode or in our group chat. I was extremely disappointed when I saw that America beat Mazatlan 8-1, and we couldn't do that.
Yep.
And they now beat Chivas 7-0. Like that's how we need to be showing up.
Yep. 1,000% agree. Edgar's saying, oh, this is interesting. I want to sub off Anika and put in Mane. You agree with that? Mane, sorry.
Well, defensively, Mane's not going to give you what Anika gives you, like not even remotely close. So in big games like against Rayadas, I would not trust Mane back there. And keep in mind, Mane is an attacking player, so you're wasting her attacking talent playing a position that's not hers. I mean, when she's done it defensively, she's looked bad. But offensively, obviously, she gives you way more than Anika. So I think that there is situations where you might say, hey, yeah, plug in Mane because she's basically going to play as an attacking mid or a winger in a fullback spot. But in big games, America, Pachuca, Rayadas, Chivas, I'm not trusting her to play back there. It's just not her position. It's not fair to her. But it's a player that we need to watch because she's definitely talented. To me, she's up there with like Lady Ramirez, those sort of players that are coming up that have a lot of potential.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before, but Anika being in the team just flows better. I mean, I wanted to say in the system, but do we really even have a system? So I'm going to phrase it like when we play, when she's playing, the team plays better. That's just how it's always been. Even though she will have her games where she doesn't do great, like the way that we play, the way Tigres Femenil is, flows better when Anika's starting. That's just how it
She's
is.
just so reliable.
Yeah.
Like very, very extremely reliable. Like I don't have any fears. I don't have any stress, any worries when Annika's back there. So
Agreed. Yeah, we better win like 7-0, honestly. Like
is this a home game
away.
or
No, we're
it's away? So they're going to Jamaica?
yeah, to Jamaica. Yep. Should be interesting. Um would you make any rotations similar to how Paunovic is handling the men's side?
Well,
I
compared to
don't
what
see
they
it.
did at the Clásico, I would put in Ana Diaz.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, outside of solidifying your best 11, I mean, I think Mayor shouldn't be an automatic starter anymore. So, you know, you could, for example, start bringing back Natalia Colin, who missed a good chunk of the season because she was in Colombia in the under 20 World Cup. So that's another player that you can maybe plug in for perhaps Delgado, or maybe as your second pivote in that 4-2-3-1. You know, play alongside Delgado there. That'd be cool to see. So there's a few options, but I don't see the team being tired at this point. I think you can play them.
Sure. I agree. Edgar, any thoughts to that?
No, I agree with Lou. I mean, I wouldn't mess with the starting 11 too much, just because we need, like you guys mentioned, we need to win this game by as many goals as possible just to lock in that goal difference if it comes down to it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're nearing towards the end. Before we get to this last little bit, shout out everybody who's watching. 330 viewers. What? That's awesome.
Amazing.
That's like, and we haven't even recorded in 2 weeks. So thank y'all for tuning in. That's super great.
They missed us.
Yeah, clearly. Not gonna lie, these numbers don't. Hold on. I don't know those saying. Anika has perfil tigre.
Yeah, she does.
1000% she does.
100%. Yeah.
Speaking of Arnoldo, these numbers don't happen when Arnoldo's hosting. Let me stop. Let me not.
Oh,
Let me not be that guy. Let me not
Ooh.
be that guy. I'm sorry. I'm not
We
gonna be
have
that guy.
a host controversy. Love it.
No, Arnoldo's the best host. He's a much better host of this than I am. So that's how it goes. I'm totally kidding. All right. We have some from the vault moments, don't we, Edgar?
That's right. So let's start off with the birthday boy. Happy birthday to Juninho. What is your favorite former captain moment?
Oh man. I honestly haven't thought about this, so why don't y'all start? Maybe I'll think of something.
I don't know. I mean, I just think Juninho has been or was always just, that player that was not really like on the radar or like not really on the spotlight. You know, he was just, ultimately very reliable, very talented. I remember obviously, from when he first came, he had not a lot, but he had several free kick goals, which was surprising. And at the time, like, we came from like a time and space where we had, Lucas Lobos was pretty much the only one that could deliver free kicks. And then Juninho came in and he was giving us some free kick goals. So that was really fun to watch back then. And we haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it was always the security of him being the second penalty kick taker, just as a captain. And when we lost Lucas Lobos, I was a little bit worried about that. And then we went through a period of not the best center forwards up until Gignac. So I really enjoyed seeing him being our penalty kick taker when those opportunities came up.
Lou?
Agree.
Just his announcement, man. He came in at a time where we had really bad seasons, and to see him getting announced in that 2010 jersey, they had the little collar. it was a special moment. You could kind of feel the tide turning for us. Young guy, but you could see everything starting to change for the positive, and I think that's always going to stick in my mind. Him, how they used to present him back then, stand him up and have the photo and everything. Just that's always stuck in my head. And obviously, being Mr. Reliable, like you guys said, he's never had any fireworks type of moments, in my opinion, but he's just been so consistent. And I was actually reading something in regards to that earlier in the week about how some people are brilliant, right? And brilliance can be just short lapses. And then there's people that are amazing because they're so consistent and they're able to put in such great work ethic for so many years. And I think that's Juninho, right? He doesn't have any moments of great brilliance, but he's been so consistent, so reliable, so disciplined, such a great leader, great captain, that he's turned into a legend for us. So I think that's what always sticks with me.
I guess the one I can think of is his penalty in the shootout in 2016 in the final, because he shot second right after Gignac in that final.
Could
I
be.
just remember him just really riling the crowd up in that moment. He had another penalty against America in a semifinal. I can't remember what year it was, but it was against Marchesín when he was still there at Azteca. I cannot remember that year, but I remember that penalty well. Arnoldo's saying, here's a good one, giving up the armband to Damian.
Oh yeah, great moment.
Oh, bro, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
such like a phenomenal moment. And for listeners, if you did not watch that game, so he's referencing the final against Rayados. Obviously one of the most important finals in club history. Such a critical moment. Juninho takes off his armband, puts it on Damian, and says, "No, you're going to lift the trophy for us because this is your last game as a Tigres player, and you deserve the honor." And that just speaks levels of his character and his personality.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we have a moment from '94, which I'm sure Lou will be well versed on since
The
he's
old
he's
man.
he's from that era, and Alfred, maybe you know something too, because 25-year-old me does not clearly,
Please educate us youngsters, Lou.
and Edgar.
Yeah, I did not know this game happened. September 10th, 1994, the Con el Alma game with 5 red cards, 4 for Tigres, was won 2-0 with 7 players.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. It was a great game. I remember people talking about that game where people were coming out crying because it was just so intense, and it was kind of like the way we feel with the San Luis game where people pulled out, like, they were so excited at the end because we pulled out like a great win. I think that 94 one is probably the best ever as far as like battling against all odds, right? The ref obviously favoring the Capital team, which was Atlante, that was totally stacked. I mean, at that time, the mid 90s Atlante teams were really, really good. A lot of great players on there. And just, a couple names that throw out. We had Cecilio de los Santos at that time. Miguel España was on that squad. Pastor Lozano, a young Pastor Lozano on that squad. Chima Ruiz. Uh, Zúñiga, I think, was at goal. Martin Zúñiga. So some good players. Carlos Muñoz, central defending mid. So really good historic players that we had on that squad, and they were able to pull it off against all odds. It was I think the last goal, the golazo, that it was Cecilio de los Santos. It was a long ball that went to the left wing, and he cut in, and the ball hit the crossbar. So it hit the crossbar, and then it went in. It was just a fantastic goal. It was just kind of like he didn't scoop it, but it was the ball just kind of took that trajectory where it kind of just went right over the goalkeeper, hit the crossbar, and went in. So it was one of those games where the crowd was going crazy. Definitely one of those that if you get a chance, I think what's his name? Roman Guevara, I believe is his name, that does the historic games. If anybody wants to watch it, he posts a lot of these games, and I think you can probably almost watch the entire game maybe on YouTube. So just look it up, and you can go back in memory lane and catch some of those games.
And the reason why it's called the Con el Alma game is because it's, I mean, it's famously remembered because Roberto Hernandez Jr.
Don Robert.
Don Robert, in that last goal, he practically loses his voice screaming the goal and saying con el alma, because of how the whole game went against all odds, against a better Atlante team with 7 players, and we still came up on top and still scored a late goal to, capitalize the game. It was very memorable.
Now we have a very tough moment here from 06. Edgar, explain this September game to us.
This was not submitted by me, but it is an anniversary of this match. September 16, 2006. Our worst loss ever. Toluca 7, Tigres 0. Gaitan surrounded by scrubs.
Yeah. So in that game, I'm gonna mention somebody that Lou doesn't want to talk about. We had so the culprit is Saritama. He got a red card, and just the game went downhill from there.
I don't know why you guys got to bring back sad stuff that I've cleared from my memory.
Hey, no. So the reason why I actually wanted to bring it up is, it just makes me think, how far along we've come, from those squads of the, late 2000s, where, obviously after Cookie left, after Ireneo Suarez left, after Claudio Suarez left, after, that good squad that we had initially with Gaitan, and then, he just kept on getting a whole bunch of scrubs as teammates. And obviously bad results just started piling up, which eventually led, to, the 08, 09, 10 seasons where, we were pretty much fighting relegation the whole time. And, it just makes you think back on how far we've come, from that team that lost 7-0 to Toluca. I don't see our team losing 7-0 anytime soon, so it's good to remember on the bad times as well sometimes.
And the coaching carousels, man, that we went through at that time. Oh my goodness. It wasn't like, you were just changing coaches like it was underwear. It was crazy.
Knock on wood, we don't lose 7-0 anytime soon. That would be bad. I don't know, though, saying Lou with the Popovich breakdown of Juninho from earlier, which is that's a fair way to put it. You did break it down really well, my friend. All right, we have a closing question. I'm assuming that's inspired by your travels recently, Edgar. Which kit is your must-pack jersey for traveling?
2017 Apertura jersey. Yeah, man.
That's a good choice.
On there.
That's a good choice, but I go with the Club World Cup yellow jersey, simply because it's cleaner, it's more recognizable with Tigres, and it's beautiful. So that's my go-to in the travel.
I rotate between these two.
Oh, the black one, yes.
Yes. Love it.
It's the Batman jersey.
I also wore the white one on a plane recently, like last year. So I'll count that one as well. But definitely these two more often than not.
Yeah, I went with the white one this past weekend to Vegas with the white Tigres one, because the last time I went to Vegas, I took the yellow one. So I wanted pictures with the white one.
There you go.
But,
yeah.
Do you guys get people kind of talking to you when you wear them out and about?
All the time.
I get the same thing.
Shouts and everything. Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, so I know for me, like as soon as I got into the Uber, I was watching the game on my phone, but I had it in my headphones. But the driver sees me in the Nahuel jersey, and he immediately starts making conversation about Tigres and Rayados. His verdict was Tigres is a superior team.
Good. That's a good Uber driver. I hope you tipped him well.
I absolutely did. He had a good taste.
What is your choice, Edgar?
My go-to is usually whichever the more recent home kit is the one that I take with me every time. But for the longest time, I also took I believe it was a 2021 away kit, the blue one that was kind of it's got like a different accent blue on it as well.
Yeah.
I'm
The
obsessed with that one.
Olympique de Marseille blue.
Yeah,
Yes.
the baby blue. Yeah, yeah. That's a good shout. Speaking of kits, viewers, listeners, if you have not seen the leak yet, we do now have the leak of the new third kit that will be out in January. That is going to be white and gold with the old U logo with the tiger on it, somewhat similar to the one Lou's wearing right now. If you need to see the leak, it is at our friend Tigres Jersey's account on X and on Instagram. But what are y'all's thoughts on that leak? I think it's fine. I don't love the pattern because it is a little bit different than what the original information was, but I'm probably still gonna get it, or at least get the merchandise surrounding it.
Shout out to Eric from Camiseta Tigres, who was the original leaker of the image. So shout out to him at Camiseta Tigres. I don't love it, but I say that about a lot of jerseys sometimes, and then when I look at them, I'm like, oh, especially when Gignac wears them or Cordova, then you're like, yeah, it looks fantastic. So I think it's probably going to be one of those as well, where I'm not super stoked right now, but I will be once I see it worn by our favorite players.
I guess
Absolutely.
just the one disappointment for me is still having that old Cemex logo. I wish that at least these third kits that are supposed to be like special or different, and especially since it's having the old logo, like they would have done this, just the
Yeah.
Adidas and the logo. But no, they went with Adidas in the middle, and then the Cemex Monterrey over here. So it
That's
is
how
what
it
it
goes.
is.
Got to get that money somehow. But
Yeah,
we'll
my
probably
other
have-
complaint with this one though is it's not the Adidas Originals logo, which I mean I know Adidas didn't sponsor Tigres at the time that we're seeing the retro logo on this kit, but if you want to make a throwback kit, I think you have to put the Adidas Originals logo on there.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
agree. 1000%. Okay, we got a few more comments to get through. Sorry, go ahead.
Which, by the way, since we're on the subject of jerseys, tigretienda.com is running some sales right now. Several
Oh, yeah.
jerseys are 50% off. So if you want to get some of these latest jerseys, I think the one Alfred's wearing right now, the Earth Day
Yeah,
Forest kit,
50%.
50% off, and the 23-24 home and aways are also 50, if I'm not mistaken. So go check it out at tigretienda.com.
Yeah, I want to try to get my hands on the sand one.
Yeah, that's a good kit.
Other stuff on sale too, on the site as well. So with the originals collection from last year is also on sale, like the jacket and the pants, and
The shoes.
yeah, they're all on sale. So check that out as well. Okay, let me get through these comments. First of all, for referencing the 94 game.
Oh, the 7-0. Yeah, Bruno Marioni scored
Marioni.
4 on it.
06, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Bruno Marioni, who I don't know, was that before he went to Pumas or after he came from Pumas to Toluca? Lou?
I think I
Not
want to
sure.
say it was before he went to Pumas.
To Pumas, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he scored 4 on us in that game.
Sheesh. Edgar
And I think
saying,
they still had what was his name? Sanchez?
Vicente?
Vicente Sanchez. Yeah, he was the one that was
That dude
pretty
was
much
phenomenal.
generating all the plays.
Edgar saying he needs to get the Adidas original jersey. I'm assuming the long sleeve one is what he's referring to, which is still unbelievable.
Amazing. Yeah.
Also saying any jersey with gold has to release after a championship. I totally understand that argument.
Yeah.
And then here's a funny one to kind of wrap things up here. Alfred complimenting Aitan. We might get a hurricane in Houston today.
Oh man, somehow we turned Alfred into the Gaitan hater of the group, bro, which is not true.
Not
but
even the case, bro.
It's stuck, bro. Ni modo.
No, I mean, just because I put Lucas Lobos slightly above Gaitan, that does not make me a Gaitan hater, man. Come on. My first kit with the number on it was with Gaitan.
Yeah, so you're not a hater. By default, you're not a hater. You're a supporter. Arnoldo also saying that his jersey to pack is the same one that you had, Lou.
Good
Yeah.
choice.
Good choice.
Just in case we run into any rayados, they get reminded.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, topping out at about an hour and a half, which is about what I expected, to be honest. All right, this is it for us tonight. Everybody who is watching right now, thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody who is listening later on, watching back later on, thanks for tuning in as well. The best way that you can help us get this show, these podcast episodes out to more people is if you follow us on all the platforms. I'm going to throw up the banner here right now. Just look at this banner below. If you're just listening, at Nahuel Times, whether it's with underscores or periods or just by itself, TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube, you can find us there. Don't forget to subscribe if you listen to the podcast audio version only on Spotify, on Apple. That helps us out a ton. Leave us some ratings and reviews. If you're on Spotify, you can literally leave comments in the episodes, like directly. Edgar has done that on some of my show's episodes, so you should do that so we can hear your feedback. Follow all of us on socials. Follow Lou at Tigres_English on Twitter, X, Edgar at Double A Nation, Tigres Takes, Alfred, all of us on Twitter. Shameless plug. I also have my own podcast, and we're talking Premier League this week. So if you want to, and NFL, I think maybe later on this week as well. So tune in, Dennis and Friends Pod. We talk all the sports there. So shameless plug. Go check us out if you haven't already. I'm sure we'll be back next week with some more hot, fresh Tigres content for your ears and for your eyes. And hopefully Arnoldo can come back because I'm not good at this hosting thing clearly, and the originator needs to come back and get the show back.
Nah, you did great, Dennis. Except for the part where you brought down Arnoldo, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He
We'll
needs
bring
to
a little controversy into the pod. That's good too. You know, it's like a good quarterback controversy.
He needs to restore order in here. I've let things get way too out of hand. So I don't know though if you're watching, please take back the reins because clearly not in good hands. Speaking of, thank you for covering me during my vacation. You're welcome, my friend. Great.
Which we'll be excited to hear about all his
Oh,
stories.
we need to hear
from Serbia.
the Serbian interviews,
Yeah,
man.
there you go. There's your plug for next week, everybody. Tune in next week to hear Arnoldo's Serbia recap, and let's see if he ran into tons of people who knew who Paunovic is. Last comment: Go Texans from Edgar down in Houston.
Go Pack, go!
They are the superior Texas team right now because the Cowboys stuck it up yesterday. Anyway, all right, let's get out of here. Thanks everybody for tuning in, fellas. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on the next time. Adios.
Peace.